Yo, it's your boy Wabon. New to the YouTube game. I got another extra for y'all today. Yo, man, my Mavs made a trade for Kyrie Irving. Uh, let's check out. I'm excited, but I'm not excited because we know what Kyrie Irving is about. For his coaching passes and things like that, we know he want to. Let's just see what they got to say. My man made a big trade. Got to look at some major help. Let's see what happens.
Will receive Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, and a package of picks in return. That haul includes a 2027 second-round pick and a first and second-round pick in 2029. The trade ends a 4-year run for Kyrie and Brooklyn, and with that, he now takes his talents out to Dallas in the West Conference to join a squad that is sixth in the Western Conference currently. You take a look at that package. Markieff Morris also will be heading to the Mavs to join forces with Kyrie and
Morris.
Luka Doncic
I was skeptical about we're going to lose some
mentioned
defense.
in return, we'll get Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian
Finney-Smith,
Smith, and a few picks highlighted by that unprotected first-round selection in 2029.
Yeah, I'm glad Markieff does bring some defense. Like
we mentioned Bill Riders was only right that we bring him in right now. Bill, this shocking news. We knew that Kyrie likely was going to be traded ever since he first announced that he wanted to be traded, and that news broke. Now that you see that it ends up being Dallas and not some of the others like the Lakers or the Clippers who were in the running and wanted to bring in Kyrie, what's your reaction here?
Yeah, Zach, my reaction is it's a pretty nice return for the Brooklyn Nets. I know yesterday several folks, including GMs around the NBA, were just skeptical whether, given Kyrie's struggles and difficulties and some of the issues that have made him less appealing to other teams out there, given all of that, whether Kyrie would command the kind of return that Brooklyn was certainly going to want, because they're effectively giving up on their season. It is not a bad haul for Brooklyn, given the circumstances and given the fact that Kyrie had not only said he wanted to be traded, but in the last 2 hours, the reporting had come out that he might sit if he wasn't moved. When you're in that kind of a corner, it's sometimes hard to get what you want coming back. I think Brooklyn did that. And now the question becomes, is the juice worth the squeeze for Dallas? Sources yesterday told me they were one of the 2 or maybe 3 teams, the Lakers and maybe the Clippers, who would be interested enough to perhaps drive the price up. They've surrounded Luka Doncic with a star. He's obviously mercurial. It'll be very interesting, Zach, to see whether or not this leads to success for Dallas the rest of the way.
Yeah, we'll certainly circle back on Brooklyn and what this means for them going forward. But you look at this Dallas squad currently sitting at 28 and 26 in the Western Conference, 9.5 games back of Denver. We knew that they needed another piece. That became very apparent, especially when Luka missed some time, and you heard Jason Kidd say they need someone to step up. That was at one time Spencer Dinwiddie. But ever since losing Jalen Brunson, it seems like that they've missed him desperately. So now they get a piece like Kyrie. What can this do for Dallas?
No, that's not what's going on.
It depends how you view Kyrie Irving. He's a litmus test. He's a Rorschach test, I should say. People see in him whatever they think about Kyrie Irving, the player and leader. I can tell you some GMs out there think that he is worth whatever difficulties come with Kyrie Irving, and some don't. I'm probably in the camp that is skeptical it's going to work out, but Zach, you hit on it. You've got another all-world scorer. You've got help for Luka Doncic, the kind of offensive help that you have to have, especially when you get into playoff basketball, best-of-7 series, rotations that shorten up, defenses that tend to improve, half-court offenses. You're not going to run and gun as much. And so if Kyrie can replicate not just his talent, but the success we saw him have with LeBron James in Cleveland, Dallas becomes absolutely good enough in a really crowded Western Conference, especially with the question marks around Steph Curry and his health. Dallas becomes good enough to be a real contender. We've seen
all those games.
Hey, all you floaters out there. Any way you float protected with Progressive.
Seen Luka Doncic carry this team basically by himself. They had Brunson, but basically by himself to a conference finals. And so Kyrie Irving's addition on paper, the issue becomes, Zach, and the reason not as many teams were in a bidding war for Kyrie Irving as they might have been 2 or 3 years ago. And we've seen Kyrie hold his organization hostage. We've seen him miss time for a variety of reasons. And the stats are the stats. This is a Brooklyn team that has been statistically better. They've won more games when he has sat than when he has played. So it's hard to know who you're getting in Kyrie Irving, but for a team like Dallas, desperate to do something right now and to surround Luka Doncic with someone, it's a risk that makes sense.
Is it a risk that you think is going to be worth it? Kyrie's contract is up at the end of this year. Do you think he would consider re-signing there, or is this just a one half of a season opportunity for Dallas to strike gold here?
It's a great question. It's the big question. I guess there's a few answers. One, that would be quite a sizable gamble by Dallas if they don't think Kyrie was going to stick around. I was talking to a league source yesterday, literally asked him, Zach, the exact question you asked me. If Kyrie goes somewhere that's not Los Angeles, California. So Dallas was the example I used. But I said, let's say it's a Dallas or a Chicago or somewhere that we haven't had indications in the past Kyrie wants to stay. Will he stick around if he's traded there? And this league source, familiar with Kyrie's thinking and familiar with some of the teams involved, told me the view around the NBA is that Kyrie simply wants to find a place that he can win and that he can get paid. An organization that will pay him, let's say 4 years, more or less a max deal. So I would assume, Zach, that Dallas is back channeled with Kyrie Irving and the people representing him, and that the understanding is that they will offer him some kind of a deal that he's amenable to, and that he will take that deal, which is, I guess, a long-rounded way to say, yeah, I think he will stay there. I can't imagine Dallas would have made this move if they didn't think he was going to stick around. But again, the Nets also thought they were getting something in Kyrie Irving. They didn't. We know Kyrie can change his mind. So it's an open-ended question. I think he'll stay, but you never know where Kyrie's going to be in a month or a couple months after this experience in Dallas and whether it goes well or whether it goes badly.
I think one thing that's for sure you really can't debate is that Kyrie's the top 5 point guard in this league right now when he's out there playing. How does he match up with Luka on the field? Who's going to be on the court? Who's going to be the one on the ball? How are they going to make that work? And will it result in success?
Well, I'll respectfully disagree. I think it is debatable, and I think that's the big issue with Kyrie. And again, this is me just referencing people who run NBA teams around the league, not my perspective. Some people think he's a top 5 point guard, and some people think that he's not. And I think that's part of the reason you only had 2 or 3 teams that were in the mix here. But to answer your question, if you come down, and Dallas does, on the side that this guy is that talented and is that capable, he does one of the hardest things there is to do in the NBA. He can go and get you buckets by himself, create his own space, create his own shot, break down defenses. When he's in the right spot, when he's in the right fit, especially, and we've seen this with LeBron and with Kevin Durant, when he's surrounded by another all-world player, and certainly Luka Doncic is that. The upside here, the ceiling for Kyrie Irving, is that he's more than capable of playing like a number 2 on a championship-level team. He can help, as you noted, if Luka Doncic, let's say injured, but just not having to load the minutes up on Luka. He can take 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 or 36 minutes in a game here or there and be the offensive focal point. He can't do it night after night after night. We've certainly seen that in Brooklyn. So it's a huge offensive help. It's a huge secondary weapon. And when we get to the postseason, because all the stats people will throw at you about Kyrie not being as effective in terms of winning over the course of his time when he's on the bench versus starting, those are all regular season stats. And even though the Nets have struggled at times in the postseason, it's a different game, as you know, Zach, in the playoffs. The ability to go out there and have one guy who can win you a game or a couple games is huge. Kyrie Irving's one of those players in the NBA. You put him with Luka Doncic, and it makes Dallas a lot more dangerous, potentially, than they were.
I just want to touch real quick on Brooklyn now, the other side of this trade. What does this mean for them going forward and the potential?
Don't care about Brooklyn. Anyway, I'm a Mavs fan. I don't care about Brooklyn. Look, at the end of the day, like most of the things they're saying, I was surprised about this trade. We know the Mavericks was linked to Kyrie in the past summer. Does it help the Mavericks with Luka? Absolutely, it does. If Kyrie has been on his best behavior, I'm not gonna hold what he said some months ago. That's just everybody ever had opinions about that. But to me, he's been outside of that. He's been on his best behavior. He wants a new contract, and I do believe he wants to win. Luka is the ideal person, a younger version of LeBron, and Luka know how to win in the playoffs. We know that. I guess that would be the bottom line is if the Mavericks can take for what they, if they can start playing some better defense, which they kind of have. The Mavericks should be better. They should be better with Kyrie for scoring. It's just a matter, can they fix the defense part? And like I said, we got rid of Dodo. Denny Smith, for some of y'all who don't know what we mean by that. But they did get Markieff Morris. He do play some defense. He plays well off the bench. I think what that brings, your starting lineup will look something like Luka, Kyrie, Maybe bring Reggie Bullock back into the starting lineup to replace Dodo. When Christian Wood get healthy, I'm assuming he will be in the starting lineup, or he'll remain his event. We don't know. He's been in the starting lineup before he got his injured thumb hurt. Then you got Dwight, so we'll see what this team look like moving forward. But it does help. I'm curious to see how he's going to play with Luka. Like I say, the reason why I think this will work is because he played with LeBron. Luka is no different than LeBron for us having the ball in his hand most of the time than not. So that goes without saying. But Luka has to be the first time play with somebody that can score as many points he can. Only thing you could be afraid of as a Mavs fan, which I am, this ended up being worse than Porzingis. Because we heard the rumor that Porzingis was jealous of Luka and things like that. So we know Kyrie's not a jealous person. He just wants his own. But it's going to be very interesting to see the first time they're on the floor together. But I will say, as a Mavericks fan, I'm excited. I'm looking forward the first time they both step on the court. I will respond. I don't care what's going on with me or what's the deal. I will post a video as soon as we see that. I haven't posted on their losses, but win or loss in that game, I'm gonna post a video behind it. So we're gonna see. We're gonna find out. See how this work out. Anyway, that's my rest of my Mavs trading for Kyrie Irving. Should be very interesting. Very interesting. Like, subscribe, go Mavs, and I'm out. Peace.